Hello and welcome to the 56th edition of the Tiger Highline Online. This week we have a shorter episode due to parent-teacher conferences last week, but will feature zombie invasion, a high-flying trip on a dirt bike, and our featured podcast of the week. First up this week, we head to the dirt track with Trey Bronner and Jackson Skiles to follow Ryan Ernst in his high-powered passion for dirt bikes.
It all started when I was a kid. I was babysat by my dad's friend who was really into motocross. I started to ride with him a lot, and eventually I was able to get my own bike. When I ride, I usually go with my dad, who just follows me on our four-wheeler. I sometimes recognize people around the track and tag along with them, but I really actually enjoy to just ride by myself. I like to go at my own pace, go where I want, and practice the things I need to work on. The last weekend of my junior year, I was riding at a private track just outside of town. I was riding really well the whole day until I started to try some new things. I went off this jump and kind of pushed the bike the wrong way, and the tail end flew out to the side. When I landed, it pretty much threw my face to the ground. I think I was unconscious for a while, but when I woke up, the bike was on top of me and I was spitting blood. Before I ride, I make sure my chain is tight, so I can fit 2 fingers in there. When I sit down, it gets tighter, so I have to make sure it's loose enough. I also check if this is tight enough, which it is, so it doesn't strip out if I'm shifting. Usually the gas is on. You have to have the gas on when you're riding. Some of the problems I run into are a loose chain, which happens quite a bit actually. I've broken many clutch levers and brake levers, and my shifter always usually gets loose. Just going around the track and shifting it sometimes strips out, and I've gone through a lot of those. If you don't fall, you're not riding hard enough. Knowing that I can't let one crash ruin how I feel about it, I really like to keep going and progressing with it. When I go to college, I plan on selling my bike to get money to pay for tuition, but when I do have enough money, I will get another bike and proceed to ride.
Ryan's always wanted to race, and his mom and I didn't want him to race because we were worried about getting hurt. But we finally determined that when Ryan turned 18, we knew that he was going to race anyhow. So we figured that now would be a good time to get him started while we still were able to go with him and allow him to do it and keep a little closer eye on him. I don't have any expectations for Ryan. I want Ryan to just continue to do what he wants to do. I know that his heart is in riding, so I hope he sticks with it. If he chooses not to, then I'll back him with that decision. But if he chooses to keep riding, I will back him with that, and I'll continue to help him out as much as I can and to go to as many events that I can.
Honestly, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be where I am right now in this sport. Ride cannot stop, and it will not stop.
This has been Jackson Skiles
and Trey Bronner reporting for the Tiger Highline.
Next up is this feature from Brennan Coles, who participated in a Halloween adventure, the Zombie Run.
On Saturday, Independence, Iowa was overrun by zombies for the Zombie 5K obstacle course. Adam Pace, a sophomore here at Cedar Falls, talks about how he found out about the race, why he loves zombies, and how long it took him to create his costume.
I procrastinated a little bit, so I don't know, I made it in an evening, about a week, 2 weeks. I found out about this because I did it last year and my friends told me. I watched Walking Dead. I don't know, zombies are just awesome. It's fun to chase people and scare people.
Zombies jump out and grab runners' flags while the runners attempt to escape the undead's clutches. I took part as a zombie in the race as well. It will happen again next year. For more information, go to IndyZombieRun.com. This is Brennan Coles reporting for the Tiger Highline Online.
This week, our featured podcast comes from Austin Anderson as he offers a preview of the 2014-15 NBA season.
Hello and welcome to Austin Anderson Sports Talk, where today we have our 2014 NBA preview. A lot has happened since we last saw basketball. LeBron got dismantled by the Spurs, which led to him leaving town and going back to his hometown Cleveland Cavaliers. Players changed teams, and teams changed names, and it all led us to exactly where we are today, just about to kick off the NBA season. So let's start in the Eastern Conference, where the number one seed isn't LeBron James' Cavaliers. The number one seed in the Eastern Conference, the Chicago Bulls. Now the Bulls aren't just jumping to the top spot because Derrick Rose is coming back. They also acquired big man Pau Gasol via free agency. Coming in second, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The debate is open. Did the Cleveland Cavaliers just have the best offseason in NBA history? They acquired multi-time All-Star Kevin Love and, the best player in the world, LeBron James, to join their star Kyrie Irving and create the best new big three the NBA has to offer. Now this is basketball, and I'm sure many of you want to bolt the Cavaliers to the top spot. But chemistry is vital in the game, and this team simply hasn't played together. Not to mention Kyrie Irving misses over 16 games on average during his career per season. And behind him, former St. Mary's guard Matthew Dellavedova. Now, I'm not saying Dellavedova can't play basketball, he is in the NBA. But he's also Matthew Dellavedova. The 3 seed, the Toronto Raptors. Now their 1, 2, 3 are very young and very talented, but this team is going to rely on a potential breakout season from center Jonas Valanciunas. Coming in at the 4 seed, the Washington Wizards can make a run in the Eastern Conference. And at number 5, the Charlotte Hornets. Now with the name change from the Bobcats to the Hornets, the free agent signing of Lance Stevenson from the Indiana Pacers, and having the most underrated player in the entire NBA, Al Jefferson, this team, like the Wizards, could also make a decent run into the Eastern Conference Finals. Now at the 6th seed, the Miami Heat. Now yes, obviously they lost the best player in the NBA, but don't forget they filled in with Luol Deng and still have Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade to carry the load. At the 7th seed, the Atlanta Hawks, Paul Millsap and Al Horford, will get the Hawks back to the playoffs. And rounding out the East is the 8th seeded Brooklyn Nets. Alright, now moving to the Western Conference, where the top seeded NBA defending champions San Antonio Spurs lead off the Western Conference. At number 2, the Los Angeles Clippers. With Chris Paul and Blake Griffin in their prime right now, this team is out of excuses. 3, the Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr will get these guys to play hard, play defense, and get the top 3 seed in the West. And at number 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder finally show up. Now Kevin Durant's going to be out early with a foot injury, but they still have Kendrick Perkins starting, who is the worst starter in the entire NBA. At 5, the Dallas Mavericks, who stole Chandler Parsons away from the Houston Rockets, and I believe is going to be a star for that team. At 6, speaking of the Rockets, here they are. Now we know what James Harden and Dwight Howard are going to give us, but the rest of that depth, or should I say lack thereof, is still a pretty big question mark. At 7, the Portland Trail Blazers. Watch out for CJ McCollum, who yes has a little bit of Steph Curry in him. It's the Anthony Davis-led New Orleans Pelicans who are going to compete for an 8th spot in the Western Conference, solely because Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the entire league. Now looking at the playoffs, the Eastern Conference Finals, yes, it's a cliche pick, but maybe that means it's going to be right. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls are going to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. And in the West, the San Antonio Spurs, the Los Angeles Clippers. It's simple for me. The San Antonio Spurs, with their performance in the NBA Finals, were one of the best teams in the NBA. And by the NBA, I mean the history of the NBA. And they're going back to the NBA Finals to represent the Western Conference. So that sets up a Bulls-Spurs matchup. But first, how about we check out our awards? Now, Coach of the Year, we have Eric Spoelstra. Now, I have the Heat coming in at the 6th seed, but don't be surprised if they sneak up on a lot of people this year and climb into potentially that number 3 spot. The 6th man comes from the Eastern Conference champions. Taj Gibson is the 6th man of the year. Defensive Player of the Year, holding down the paint for the Oklahoma City Thunder, isn't Kendrick Perkins. It's Serge, as I like to call him, Ibaka. But Serge Ibaka is the Defensive Player of the Year. Rookie of the Year, Jabari Parker, simply has no other options in Milwaukee, so he will, yes, thrive there, with 20 plus points per game his rookie season. And lastly, the MVP, that goes again to LeBron James. He's simply too good. So the NBA Finals, Chicago Bulls, San Antonio Spurs. Spurs, seasoned veterans, been there just last year. The Chicago Bulls have a lot of question marks. The Chicago Bulls will be the 2014-2015 NBA champions. Alright folks, that's it for this week. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you watching. I'll leave you with this. A great quote from the late, great Ben Bradley, former Washington Post editor. Our best today, our best tomorrow. Do your best right now, and tomorrow will come. You gotta work hard, and you will succeed.
Well, that's a wrap for number 56. Be sure to check us out on the web and tune in next week to see what's happening. Until then, keep it classy, CF.